Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. So for today's session, we're doing a pre-market analysis. Before we get started, just let me know if you guys can hear me and see my screen as well. And yeah, feel free to let me know throughout the webinar if you guys have any questions or if there is any charts and specifics that you'd like me to go through. I'll be happy to go through them. So we'll give about one more minute to let more people join our session before we get started. So I see a couple of requests already in the chat, and yep, keep those requests coming. And yeah, give me about 1 minute and we will get started. Thanks, everyone. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So for those of you guys who've just joined, welcome. Um, Today we're doing a pre-market analysis. So if you have any questions or any requests for any charts that you'd like me to go through, just pop them into the chat. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So as per usual, before we start, a disclaimer. IC Markets Global does not represent that the material provided here is accurate, current, or complete, and therefore shouldn't be relied upon as such. The information provided here, whether from a third party or not, is not considered a recommendation, an offer to buy or sell, or the solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any security, financial product, or instrument, or to participate in any particular trading strategy. A risk warning trading margin, Forex, and CFDs carries a high level of risk to your capital and should only trade with money you can afford to lose. Trading Forex and CFDs may not be suitable for all investors, so please ensure that you fully understand the risk involved and seek independent advice if necessary. Please read and ensure you fully understand our risk disclosure. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to start off by looking at any Forex majors that you guys request for, and then followed by any commodities, crypto and indices, and then lastly, any custom requests. Okay. So I'm Melanie. I'll be your speaker for today. I am an investment analyst at Rocket, who are finalists for Best FX and Equity Research in the years 2019 to 2021. So we specialize in technical analysis with a focus on Fibonacci retracements, extensions, and projections. Okay, now let me pull out my charts and then we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so before we get started, let's just take a look at the news events for this week, because these tend to have an impact on your prices. So what we like to use, normally there are a lot of economic calendars out there, but the one that we normally like to use, is this one. This is forexfactory.com. Okay, and on forexfactory.com, if you click on date, you can look at the weekly forecast, or if you're looking at the month, that you can do that as well. Price settings. Okay, and we have all of the events for this week at one glance. So I have it filtered to only look at the medium and high impact events that's indicated by these orange and red icons. But if you click on this green filter, you can look at the low and bank holidays as well. You can filter out any currencies that you are trading and any event types as well. Okay, so for this week, today we have Kiwi inflation expectations. This is at 11 o'clock. And then they tell you the previous data, the forecasted data they normally will tell you as well, like you can see in the others. And then once the data is released, the actual data will show up here as well. So you'll be able to compare the data, and therefore it's easier for you to make your trades as well. Okay, one of the um types of events that have the greatest impact on your charts is either your employment data. So it could be your unemployment rate, like your US unemployment claims, as well as your CPI data, inflation data, and any FOMC meetings. So that would be your Federal Open Market Committee meetings by the Fed, for the US, or any national or central bank meetings that will announce the interest rates for the countries. So those will definitely have a big impact on your currencies as well. So yep, so you can take a look at forexfactory.com to see if there are any events for the upcoming week that might affect your charts. So I like to do this before we get started with our technical, because it's important to combine both. Okay, so if we yeah. Okay, let's get started. Let's start off with our DXY. So I'd like to start off by looking at the higher time frames first, so that we get an idea of the direction that prices are headed towards. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, we see prices are kind of fluctuating over here. On our daily time frame, okay, so on our daily time frame, okay, we have prices moving in this ascending trend channel. So just to recap, what makes a valid trend channel is if there are at least two touches at the top and two touches below. Okay, at least two. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with my support and resistance levels. So here's gonna be my first resistance. That's my first support. And my pivot will be over here. Okay, and a good habit to have is to try and pull back your horizontal levels as far back as you can without cutting too many bodies of candlesticks. So for example, for our pivot over here, let me just label it. So for our pivot, instead of maybe dragging it back here, it's a bit messy, cuts a little bit too many bodies of the candlesticks. Whereas if I leave it here, we're just cutting the wick of the candlesticks. So that's fine, and that's a little bit more preferred. Okay. Now going in with our Fibonacci levels. Mm, okay, I'm going to start off with our 50% retracement. Okay, okay, next I'm going in with a projection. Okay, you can see my 60%. So for projections, if you're unfamiliar with Fibonacci, I'll just briefly go through. So for projections, we're looking for this kind of flash, no, this kind of lightning bolt shape, or like a kind of flash symbol. Okay, so you can see the flash shape that we're looking at is over here, and we're projecting where prices are headed towards. You can see it's heading towards my 61.8. And also my 100% lines up with my first support. Okay, so I'm gonna go in and just keep my 61 and 100. Okay, another line we might have. You can see the 61.8 lines up with our first resistance. So I'm just gonna keep that. So for this is what we call our Nike tick or Fibonacci extension. And Nike tick because the shape that we look for is in the shape of a Nike tick. So something like this. If it's inverted, it would be in this kind of shape. This kind. Okay, and the levels that we're looking for are the 161.8 and the 127.2. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go in with another retracement. Okay, I can see my 38.2 lines up nicely with my pivot. So when you have two or more Fibonacci levels that line up, like we have over here, if I zoom in, you can see we have a 50%, 61.8, and 38.2. So this is what we call a Fibonacci confluence area. Let me just highlight it. So these areas are important because price tends to be attracted to such areas of confluence, but it might not be able to break through it. So you can see prices heading towards that level now, but price might not be able to break out of it, might actually rebound off of it and continue in this ascending trend channel. Okay, now let's pull out some indicators to support our analysis. I'm going to start off with Ichimoku and MACD because at one glance you can see exactly what the signals are. So for Ichimoku, you can see price is moving above the cloud, so it's giving us a bullish signal, so it does support our analysis. MACD is giving us a bearish signal, because you can see price approaching our pivot, so that makes sense, but it doesn't support our analysis. So I'm going to get rid of that. And let's take a look at RSI and stochastic. Okay, on both our RSI Um, let's see. Okay, on our stochastic, we are getting this ascending trend line. Okay, the RSI isn't really telling us much. Okay, so stochastic is giving us a bullish signal. Let's take a look at our Bollinger Bands. Okay, it's not really telling us much as well. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so all of these indicators give us a bullish signal. Okay, so we're likely to see price bounce off of this confluence area and continue in this ascending trend channel. So that's actually partly the reason why it's important to know a couple of indicators and how they work so that you can because there are so many indicators out there. Half of them will give you a bullish signal, half will give you a bearish signal. So it's important to know a couple, how they work, and then just alternate between the few. Okay. Okay, so that's for our DXY. Okay, I saw we have a request for gold. Let's take a look at that. Yep, we can take a look at pound yen in a bit. Okay, so with the gold, same thing, I'm gonna start off with a higher time frame. We can see prices are pretty bullish on gold on a weekly time frame, with prices moving in this uptrend. On our daily time frame, we see it kind of start to fluctuate a bit. Now, gonna start off with my horizontal levels. Okay, we're gonna start off by looking for any trend lines or trend channels. Okay, but I don't think we have any here. Okay, no. Okay, so yeah, my first resistance will be there. This is my pivot and my first support just here. Okay, now going in with my Fibonacci again to support my analysis. Going in with a retracement. You can see my 50% lines up with my first support. If I go in with another retracement, mm, okay, you can see that my 38.2 lines up with my first support as well. Okay, so these Fibonacci levels don't have to line up exactly at the lines because, like I mentioned earlier, we are looking for confluence areas rather than specific levels. Okay, um, okay, let's see. Okay, I think that might be all the levels that we have. So, okay, we have a 100%. You can't really see it. So if I zoom in, you can see the blue 100% that lines up with our first support as well. So for this projection, you can see this is the lightning bolt shape. Okay, you can see prices already peaking above our pivot. So we're likely going to see a continuing rise to the first resistance because we normally recommend you to continue the trade in the trend that we have. So if we look at our indicators now, okay, you can see MACD is really bullish. Um, or rather, Ichimoku is bullish because it's moving above the cloud. MACD is kind of bearish. Now let's look at our moving averages. Okay, so prices are moving above our moving averages. So it recently crossed over, which is a sign that the trend might change. So you see, just before this, prices were moving below the moving averages, so it was a bearish signal. Now prices are crossing over. You can see here. So it is a bullish signal. Okay. If we look at our Bollinger Bands, it's not really telling us much. Okay, on our stochastic though, we do have a um resistance, hidden resistance level over here. Okay, so if you look at the peaks, right, between these levels, you can see that price actually made a higher high. So from this peak to this peak, right, price made a higher high, but on our stochastic, it actually maintained at a resistance level. And over here, more recently, price made a higher high as well, and it also remained at this hidden resistance. So you can see price is currently approaching that same resistance level. So that's why we're expecting it to continue upwards towards our first resistance. Okay, let's see. That's for gold. Okay, let's take a look at pound yen now. Okay, so same thing, I'm starting off with our higher time frames. Price is moving in this uptrend. On our daily time frame, it's also pretty bullish. Okay, I don't think we have any trend lines or trend channels. Let's see. Mm, okay, no, I don't think so. So let's just go ahead and add our support and resistance levels. So my first resistance is going to be up here. My pivot. So I don't think I have any levels for my pivot. I'm just going to leave it here first. Okay, and my first support just down here. Okay, now going in with my Fibonacci. Okay, you can see my 38.2 lines up with my pivot. Okay, none of these levels really line up. Um, I guess 78.6 kind of lines up with our first resistance. Okay, I think that's all the levels we have over here. Oh, I think we might have a Fibonacci extension here. Okay, no. So even though this lines up with our pivot, it's no longer valid because price has already broken out of it. Okay, so okay, my 100% lines up with my first support. Okay, I think that's all the levels we have here. So same thing, starting off with Ichimoku and MACD. Okay, price moving above the cloud, so it's giving us a bullish signal. MACD is giving us a bit of a bearish signal. Now let's look at moving averages. Okay, price recently crossed over our moving averages, so it's also giving us a bullish signal. So I'll remove MACD. Let's look at stochastic. Okay, it's not telling us much. Okay, so we're gonna see if praise is able to break above our pivot and continue in this uptrend towards our first resistance. Okay, it already looks like it's broken above this 38.2, so we might be able to see it push upwards since we don't have any major confluence areas here. Okay, so that's for pound yen, um, Aussie dollar and Kiwi, and pound dollar. Okay. Okay, so next let's look at AUD. Um, yeah. So since you've requested AUD and Kiwi, let me just check. Yeah, AUD and Kiwi. I just want to quickly point out um so you can take a look at this website. So Kiwi and Aussie dollar tend to have a bit of a correlation. So you can look at myfxbook.com for any correlations. We'll look at correlations minus 80 and above 80. You can look at the different time frames as well. Since I'm doing 1 day, I'll do um 1 day Aussie dollar and okay. So you can control the different symbols as well. If we look at so for my column symbols, maybe I want to compare AUD, USD, and NZD, NZD, USD. Let's see, where is that? Okay, it's here. Okay. So, now you can see it's not that positively correlated, 78.5, still pretty high, almost at 80%, which is our kind of our cutoff. Okay, but they are typically really closely related. So if you're looking at any of these currency pairs, feel free to check out this website. It's kind of useful to know which currency pairs are similar. So if we look at, excuse me, if we compare the same price scale, you can see how closely related that is. Okay, so for time's sake, I'm just going to analyze our Aus dollar because they are really closely related, pretty similar in a lot of ways. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's get started. So for Aus dollar, you can see prices moving in this descending trend line. This is our weekly time frame. Okay. Now on our daily time frame, our Aussie dollar has strengthened a little bit. Okay. Now I'm gonna put my first resistance up here. Actually, I'm gonna place my pivot here instead. Since price is over here, it's really close to where my pivot is. Okay, and then my first resistance will be up here, and my first support maybe just here. Um, so my 61.8 lines up with my first support. And okay, no. Okay, my 61.8 also lines up with my first support. Okay, if we zoom out, we might have a projection over here as well. Okay, no. Okay, this 61.8 is pretty close to our first support, first resistance rather. I'm just gonna keep that first. Okay, my 61.8 is also in line with my pivot. Okay, so we're wondering if price is gonna be able to peak above this level here. Let's look at some indicators. So prices are moving above the cloud, so it's giving us a bullish signal. MACD is also giving us a bullish signal. If we look at Bollinger Bands, moving averages, Bollinger Bands, you can see price currently pushing above the upper band, so it does support our analysis. If we look at our EMAs, and SMA, price is also moving above the cloud, or rather the moving averages, so it's also a bullish signal. Okay. It's just that because of the 61.8 retracement, we want to be careful. But yeah, it's pretty bullish momentum over here. Just be aware of the 61.8 as well as this horizontal level because it is an overlap, which basically means that there are swing lows and swing highs that respect that area. So you can see in the past, price hasn't been able to push past it. So we might not, we'll have to see if there's enough bullish momentum to push price past this area. Okay, and pound to dollar. Okay, yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, since there was a request for NZD as well, yeah, just you might be able to apply the same um analysis with a little bit of some tweaks to your and Kiwi dollar. Okay. Okay. Let's look at pound dollar now. Okay, prices are kind of fluctuating on our daily time frame, and yeah, prices are kind of moving sideways as well on our daily time frame. So here's my first resistance. This is my first support. And my pivot. Okay. Now let's go in with our support and resistance levels, or rather our Fibonacci levels. So if you look at all fibs, you can see our 38.2 lining up. If I go in with my projections, okay, I'm just going to add an intermediate resistance level here. Okay, in line with our 100%. So even though the 61.8 does line up, we can't use it because price has already broken out of it. So you can see the flash shape here. You can see price broke out this area. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep my 100%. And my um retracement 78.6 lines up with my first resistance. Okay, it's a bit too far. No. Okay, I think that's all the levels we have. So going back to our indicators, Ichimoku MACD. Okay, price is actually moving below our Ichimoku cloud, so it's a bearish signal. MACD, on the other hand, is giving us a bullish signal. Let's look at our moving averages. Prices currently it's crossing over. Sorry. So it's currently looks like it's crossing over currently in the midst of a trend change. So we're gonna have to see what price if price ends up being crossing over or crossing below. From what we can see, it looks like prices are crossing over. Okay, so for now it is a bullish signal. So I'm gonna keep that for now and remove our Ichimoku. Excuse me. Okay, if we look at our stochastic, okay, it's not telling us much. Let's look at RSI. Okay, RSI is also not telling us much. Okay, so because a lot of our indicators don't really tell us much, so We're just wondering if price is going to continue upwards. Okay, and I'm just gonna put a question mark here just to be careful, since most of our indicators don't really tell us much about this chart. Okay, let's look at 50 and 200. Okay, for now, prices are crossing below, so it is also a bearish signal. Okay, doesn't support our analysis. So yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have to see if our average earnings index manages, or if it affects um our charts. It probably will, especially our claimant count change, since it's a major impact. Um yeah, so we'll have to see for tomorrow how that impacts our charts. Okay, are there any questions? Hey, if not, I think that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope you guys found this session helpful. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys again next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone.